Hello, it's Guy Kawasaki, and that's Peg Fitzpatrick. Jeff C is a little under the weather, so he's just going to be the man behind the scenes. Uh, I'm in Watsonville, California now. I moved because we got evicted from our old house. No,
Did not.
so this is my new magical. I'm in a barn actually. This is my barn dominium. Well, it's my it's my man barn. That would be a more accurate. It is a man barn.
I thought it
So,
was a whole family place. Is it all yours? Did you take the whole thing over?
well, I traded off. What happened is I I swapped. I was gonna have an office in the house, and then I said, "Okay, you guys can take the office. I'll take the barn." And now I'm a little hesitant. We have a place where you can watch TV in the barn, and I'm a little hesitant to make the TV too good because then people will come down here and watch, and I don't want them to come here. I want this to be my barn, and I I even put my Apple I stole my Apple, at Apple in the old days, in front of your cube, it would be your name with the Apple logo. There's a little plastic thing, right? And I had the foresight of taking it with me in 1987, and I have it to this day, so I put it on the front door of the barn so people understand this is Guy's barn.
I'm writing, go away.
That's right. I'm podcasting, go away. You see the lights
Right,
on, go away.
right. And
So,
that worked really
uh
well at your other house in your office, right?
exactly. Well, this house, I put a lock on the barn door that's a combination lock, and
Oh,
I haven't told anybody the combination.
I could guess it.
No, you'd be wrong. You'd be
Oh,
wrong.
okay.
It's not that. It's not that.
We've moved on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Is it
anyway, I'm
F
Guy
is it
Kawasaki, and
F-150?
no, 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 no. Um, and I wanted to announce that we have a new episode of the Remarkable People podcast today. It's Dr. and Reverend Jackie Lewis from New York. And man, what a powerhouse, huh, Peg? I mean,
Yeah. A really great perspective that's, I feel like her voice is really relevant right now, especially relevant with her
yeah,
life experiences and education combination.
yeah, yeah. She, man, my, my, Squadcast was melting in what she was saying. She is so powerful. She basically addressed poverty, prejudice, racism, lack of economic opportunity. And one of the stronger things she said in an episode full of strong things was that she thinks that in the next 20 or 30 years, this is kind of the last gasp of white nationalism slash racism. And boy, I tell you, it sure looks like to me it's going very strong right now. And she said, her interpretation is this is the last desperate throes of racism.
I
I
hope
hope
she's
she's
right
right.
too. It doesn't seem like that to me either, to
No,
be
it sure
honest,
doesn't. But
but I hope she's
maybe
right.
no pun intended, but maybe it's darkest before the dawn, or maybe it's
Mhm.
whitest before the dawn.
E
And I mean, if you just look at it demographically, the trend is not the white racist friend. I mean,
No.
the numbers just don't work out. I don't know, you know, I don't know how that would be like saying, somehow we're going to change this. I don't know. I don't know how they can possibly change it. So,
More
yeah,
interracial marriages are changing it every day, right?
that's right. I'm an interracial marriage and I have
And so is
Guatemalan
Jackie.
kids.
You
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. I'm
So
doing my share.
I think that is the biggest way that it's changing. Maybe, like individual people are like their hearts are changing and then they're like they're looking at the person that they love and not thinking, "Oh, I shouldn't marry this person because of
Yeah.
X."
Well, and then I
So,
think whether you like it or not, but one of the ramifications of an interracial marriage is guess what? You're now exposed to more people of the other race, because when you marry somebody, it's not just the person, right? It's the whole
yep,
family. So now you're
yep.
exposed to a whole bunch of people, and maybe you'll discover that people are more similar than they are different, which is kind of what I figured out. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And
So
Beth gets to go to Hawaii more.
and I get to go to Modesto.
There you go. Is she from right in California?
She was born in not Minneapolis. She was born in Minnesota, and
Okay,
as a kid, she moved to Modesto, and
got
from
it.
Modesto, I took her out of the valley and brought her to the coast.
Yeah, but she's definitely Scandinavian.
Yeah, yeah, she is. She is. So, what's our
Um,
icebreaker question? When is the last time you changed your opinion? Shit, I changed my opinion this morning.
well, the reason that I think that one's relevant is because what Jackie talks about, if you have an open mind, you can learn, and will that change people's opinions about racism? Is what I,
Yeah,
what where I was going with that. Like, are you reading something that's going to change your opinion, or listening to a podcast that's going to change your opinion? So it'd be great to know, listeners of the watchers of the show, like if you listen to the podcast, is there something particularly that helped change your mind for the better, that after listening to this podcast, it would be great to know that.
yeah.
Um,
I think
yeah.
exposure to other people definitely.
Hmm.
Um,
And it's,
travel in that sense. I mean,
yes, definitely travel.
well, have you ever been to Turkey?
No.
Okay. Well, you and I definitely we crossed South America together.
Yep.
Not on a motorcycle like Che Guevara, but
I was with you and McGregor. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I definitely got a whole different perspective on South
Yes.
America after our
Yes.
travels through South America, and well,
Here's my naivete, or my being naive. We were in Mexico City, Mexico, and we had a driver and another guy, and I was like, "Oh, that's so nice that this other guy comes around the driver." Like, I didn't even realize he was the bodyguard because it wasn't safe. Like, way to go, Becky. But it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
in my world, I've never had to. We're not people that would typically have a bodyguard following us around when we are going to a speaking engagement, so
yeah.
that was different.
Well, I don't think you were with me because I was speaking in God, which country? I don't know. Colombia maybe, and there was
Mm,
like I had a police escort. I don't, and I didn't ask for it. It's not like it's in my rider that I have to have a police escort. Like,
right.
well, what are you gonna do? Kidnap me and ask for what? Password so we can get into your social media account? And I
No,
don't
I
know.
think they probably asked for money.
Yeah.
Columbia was the place where we asked if it was safe to walk around, and they said just be back before dark. And then there
Yeah.
was like the police walked around with like rifles. Remember? And we
Well,
were
but I
back by
mean, in
then.
shit, people walk around in Wisconsin with rifles, so
They do
you
now.
know,
They
yeah,
do now.
yeah, it's okay now, I guess, huh?
Ugh, right. Who knew
That's
that
pathetic.
I had no idea that the Midwest was like that. The people are so friendly, but I
I
guess
guess.
Minnesota has a lot of racial issues, as we found out.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't I I just and then we had that school shooting yesterday, right?
I
So,
missed
but
that one.
that was in Michigan. I read
Mm.
someplace there have been 28 school shootings this year in America. Like, how can that be? I
Kids
that
aren't even in
just
school.
yeah. I know they are, right?
I know, I'm
I
just
mean,
kidding. Like, for
numbers
the
are,
whole
yeah,
year, they haven't been, though. That's horrible. I didn't see that in Michigan, and I actually went to school in Michigan, so I will look that up and see where that
yeah.
was.
It was a high school in Michigan outside Detroit. So,
Oh no. Now I'll be looking that up. That's where I was. But out
yeah.
way out in a suburb outside. So who
And
inspires your go ahead if you're gonna say something else.
no, I was speaking of Michigan. I just saw a movie called Malice in the Palace. Have you heard of this movie?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a funny movie. Malice
Okay.
in the Palace is there was a game between the Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons.
Yep.
And after the game, things got ugly, and somebody
Mm.
threw a beer at Ron Artest, and Ron Artest went into the stands and attacked this guy. And it became
Mhm.
a full scale kind of riot, and people were
What year
attacking
was
everybody,
this? This sounds really
like
familiar to me.
2004. So then,
Okay.
Ron Artest got suspended for the rest of the year. Jermaine O'Neal got suspended for about a month. Steve
Uh-huh.
Jackson got suspended for about a month, and nobody was affected on the Pistons in terms of suspension. And it was like if you see the whole thing, it wasn't a bunch of basketball players who went rogue and started attacking the crowd. I mean, there's definitely another side to this. And
Yeah,
Jermaine
I
O'Neal,
remember when that came out, and I used to go to the Palace. I
yeah,
worked at Merrill Lynch, and Merrill Lynch used to get tickets for everything. They had like box seats. And
yeah,
so I would go see stuff there all the time. And then also the TGIF Fridays that was closest to there, we would go after work there, and the Pistons would come in. So, mm,
Jermaine Jermaine O'Neal. If you watch this movie, he really got screwed in the whole process.
yeah.
Um, and it's
Detroit is
kind of
a interesting place.
well, I don't think it was Detroit so much as it was
No,
just
well,
racism
wasn't it it
and
was
the
the
media.
fans though? Wasn't it the fans throwing
Yeah,
beer?
yeah. And I have to say, we're really going down a hole here, but I have
Hmm.
to say, if you watch Malice in the Palace, it kind of makes you understand how January 6th could happen. I mean, it's
Mm,
just the crowd. I don't know what takes over this crowd mentality. I mean, it's
right.
just,
Well,
you
I
know,
mean, you studied psychology, so I'm sure you did study that. When one person does it, it gives other people permission, and then once, people think they're not going to get
yeah,
caught because there's so many people, and
yeah,
they just get caught up in it and they do things. But I mean, the January 6th thing, that was like premeditated. It was like, hey, let's all meet there on this day.
yeah,
And there was lots of chatter about it beforehand. And, the experts
yeah.
didn't take it seriously enough because nothing like that has happened in our country for since basically the beginning of our country. Because back in
Oh,
the revolutionary days when the redcoats were still here, they
yeah,
would do that stuff. There's a story I remember reading where the people in Boston were so angry with a politician that they went and they tore his house apart, like literally took everything and tore the house apart. And he was like, I got to go back to England. I don't even have a house anymore.
wow.
So, so
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
we used to be really radical back in the day, and now we've kind of mellowed out. And now
yes.
this is, I don't know though. I mean, it's been going on stuff like that's been going on forever. And in the 1960s, when all the racial things were going on, Detroit was definitely a city that was in
Mhm.
turmoil, and Chicago and New York, all the, LA. Um, yeah. And not enough good came from that to fix any of it. It's kind of like women's rights. It's like all this stuff happened for women's rights and then nothing happened.
Yeah, yeah. We got a
Um,
lot of work to
and
do.
yep.
Um,
So that our
so,
question
wow,
was, who
that's a
inspires your thinking? So I will say, going along from
yeah.
my last comment, Gloria Steinem is a
Oh, yeah?
total thought leader, and I love what she says. I have a book of hers it's a book of essays, and it's called "The Truth Will Set You Free, but First It Will Piss You Off."
No kidding, huh? I mean,
Yeah,
in a sense, boy, we're just
we're everywhere.
I mean, that's why I think we need to have our kids study the history of
Hmm.
slavery and racism in America,
Hmm.
because if you try to no pun intended, if you try to whitewash that, you're not going to learn from it because
But the problem is all
it
of
didn't
our history
exist.
books our social studies books are wrong. It's the
Yeah.
version that they wanted us to know. We knew nothing about a lot of things until smartphones came out, and then people could record things that were happening, and
Well,
it couldn't be
yeah.
denied anymore. So that's a
Well, but
pretty bad thing to
our
have to
our
happen.
our history books may be wrong, but now we want to even go beyond and not have anything about it in the history books, right? They want to like,
Right.
I don't
They want to just
know.
take it out.
They came over
Yeah,
from the
that's wrong.
Mayflower. Everybody was honky dory, loved it, and they rescued all the brown and black people and made them Christians, and life goes on.
Right.
That
We'll
is the
forget about the chicken pox or the measles, whichever thing, whatever we brought over. I think it was the one of those.
well. I think people are getting the message that if they're a white nationalist, they probably won't enjoy this episode.
No, no. But Jackie has, so who inspires your thinking in in those areas of like activism and people watching, who inspires your thinking as far as, how to move forward on these issues?
Jane Goodall,
Jane Goodall is really, she's been ahead of the
right
curve
up
on
there.
the planet.
She's way ahead of the curve on the planet. So,
Hmm.
Jeff, throw up some. Oh, so speaking, we just got to plug the podcast. It's Remarkable People at remarkablepeople.com. And
Hmm.
if you whip out your smartphone camera, you can just, there he is. You just put your
Hmm.
camera on that, and off you will go to Remarkable People. So,
Yep.
did you see the oh, and yes, we have a community at circle.so. So there's a Remarkable People community. And I'm not too active in it because of the Seth Godin theory that the person, who is the creator of the podcast in this case should not be too active because it gets too dominated. But I am using it, or we are using it, to surface issues with the podcast as well as to solicit questions. So,
Not
I know I
surface. What do you mean surface issues? There are no issues. We discuss the
well,
podcast and ask advice, ask people's, what they thought about the podcast and things. What do you mean about issues?
issues like let's see. Well, some people are there was a discussion about when music plays over someone
Right,
speaking, right?
right.
So some people think that's terrible, some people think that's great. Me, I love it. It's like I'm all about NPR. So
Yeah, that's what I love that about it too. NPR does it, we do it.
yeah,
I think it signifies like this is an important section. If you were kind of
yeah,
like, like it's kind of like a little tap tap tap, hey, this part's, they're going to say something really great right now.
yeah. So
So,
so if you want to learn
yeah.
about racism and perhaps how to deal with racism, maybe even end racism, this is the episode for you because Jackie Lewis has an extremely strong perspective on this. It's very, very inspiring.
Hmm.
Very inspiring episode. So, what else? Who challenges my opinion? Huh, my wife.
That's what I was
Every
going to
day,
say. My husband. Yep.
every day, twice a
Yeah.
day. It's like brushing
Only
your
two?
teeth.
Only two. Yeah. I think people always have topics. I don't know if you guys do that are like, we've had a couple issues that were just things that were like we were not able to just, we did not agree on. Like guns in the household, I'm a definite no, never.
So do you have guns in your household?
Nope, I have so far won that battle. Not that I know. You know what's funny though? When in our old house, there was like one that was hidden up in like a panel somewhere.
Yeah.
That from when
I
we
hope
bought the
you
house.
I hope you remembered to remove it when you moved.
Yeah, Rich took it out.
Okay.
But it
And
was
he put
like,
it in his Ford 150?
no, no. But I mean, there's people who feel like that's a safety issue. Like, I need to protect my house. By having kids in the house, I was like, no way. It's
No
just not a
way.
good idea. Because, when I was growing up,
I
my
don't know.
best friend's dad was a police officer, and I
Yeah,
remember him sitting us down and giving us a very stern, scary lecture about never touching guns.
yeah.
And we
Well,
didn't,
there
even though
was
we were pretty naughty. I think it's the one thing that shout out to you, Todd Barron. Um, it's probably the one thing we never did.
well, there was a story this week where some guy took his daughter hunting,
Ugh,
and then after hunting, he accidentally discharged the rifle and killed his daughter in the car.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
there's been
wow.
I mean, horrible stories about someone having one in their purse and the kid getting it, and it's like, what? No,
Yeah.
it's just there's too much risk for me. So anyway, it is in our Constitution that people do have the right to bear arms. I'm not disputing that, but I just don't want one in my house. So I'm just saying, like, those are things sometimes you can have long term, meaning years discussions.
I
So
don't have discussions. Whatever my wife says goes. It's
I don't
optimal.
know. Really, you never challenge anything?
Hardly ever.
Yeah.
I can't. Like I bought a set of cheap dishes for this house because she has this beautiful Annie glass stuff and handmade pottery. And like every time I eat, I'm eating like cornflakes, and I'm like worried that I'm gonna break this dish.
Right.
So I went to Bed Bath and Beyond and bought 12 settings of, it's a bowl, a small plate, and a big plate. And I bought 12 sets, or 12 places. For, I'm embarrassed to tell you, there's probably 12 places. So 36 pieces total for about $40.
Wow. Good deal. And was she like, I don't want you to use that? And
No, well, I think she's figured out that it's better to put those 12 plates at risk, or 36 plates at risk, than the Annie Glass. Do you know who Annie
yeah.
Glass is?
No, I don't. I'll have to look it up.
Oh, check out Annie Glass. She's in Bergdorf and, everywhere. And she has a
Mm-hmm.
factory in Watsonville. So
Cool.
we go to the factory.
Nice.
Yep. Yep.
Very nice. Yeah, you don't want to break those. So are
No,
you open to new ways of thinking? Yes.
I am. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes, but
open to podcasting.
I think this podcast is really just all the things that Jackie said. Like if I think everybody should listen to it and see what your opinions are on things. Sometimes just knowing, you feel something is right or wrong. There's a lot of stuff in our country that we have found no solution for, racism, school shootings, like crazy stuff. Someone has to figure out a solution to these things, and it could be you. So could be our
Yep.
kids, it could be hopefully the next generation comes up with ways to, make these things non-existent. But if we don't have open thinking, we're never going to change any of the stupid things that we do.
Yep.
We
Yep.
meaning
Yep.
America.
Well, I mean, it's open thinking and it's learning from history.
Right,
So, and you can't
right.
learn from history if you don't learn history. So I don't.
True. I was
I mean,
I
you would.
was thinking when Jack Dorsey quit, was like all of a sudden out
Yeah.
as CEO. I'm like, does that have to do with is this going to be a legal thing coming with like things that weren't blocked or were blocked, or like
Uh,
is he just trying to like separate himself from choices that they didn't make
yeah.
or
I don't listen. I don't know him personally. I'm just outside looking in, and it's hard enough to be CEO of one company. I don't know how you could think you could be CEO of two companies. And
right,
these are not, this is not like, Ace Hardware and a plumbing supply store. This is, this is Twitter and Square.
right.
These are big issues and big stuff. So I don't know
Yeah.
how you could think. There's a little bit of arrogance there to even think you could do that. Like that
Well,
would
he
be like
started
Steve.
he started both of them, right?
Yeah. So what? I mean,
We should have just I think the weird thing was that it was like all of a sudden he was just out. It was an overnight thing. It wasn't
we
like
don't know. I mean, we don't know if it's overnight. For all we know, they've been planning it for 6 months, and they just
true,
announced it, right?
true.
I don't know.
It's true.
Um, mm,
True, true.
yeah.
Somebody said
Hey,
something, but now it's gone.
hey, so you know what else is interesting? Man, I've been reading. There's a lot of text, a lot of posts and articles about how Clubhouse is like in the toilet now, huh? I mean, I haven't used it for months and months. Have
I'm
you?
not surprised. No, I
Yeah.
gave it a whirl, and I just did not see the value, and there was just so much
Yeah.
pimping and you know and all the things where you're like, okay, and go to my Instagram account. You're like on one thing, and then you got to go to your Instagram account and send me a message, and
Right.
it just all seemed like too much of a hassle for me. And I didn't see the ROI on it
Yeah. Yeah.
for disappearing conversations. So, well, I'm just saying I didn't. That being said, I didn't see. I will say that I was wrong about TikTok, saying that I didn't think that
Yeah.
there was great business value there, but influencers and brands have really found a way to go viral on there and make business sales from it. So I didn't see how it was going to happen, but It did.
So
So TikTok, I was not 100% on, but I always said it was fun and I didn't bother to, but it's just another platform to go to, but it is where the kids are, so
yep.
the youths are there.
For sure, I think we've had changes. Not necessarily good. I think it's so bifurcated right now.
Yeah.
It's hard, you know, it's hard for me to really understand race relations because I'm from Hawaii.
Mm,
So, and Hawaii, don't get me wrong, it's not like Hawaii, everybody's completing everybody's sentences, but you know, you are exposed to every race in Hawaii for
mhm,
sure. So, and I was fortunate that when I was in Hawaii, if anything, Japanese Americans were dominant. So it's you know the Japanese American experience in Hawaii versus Japanese American experience in, for example, California is very different, right? So
mhm.
like
But did
George
you see any
Takei.
differences when you went from Hawaii to going to Stanford? Or were there enough, was there
Oh,
diversity there when you went?
well, the difference between a Japanese American from Hawaii and a Japanese American from California going to Stanford, because I met many of them, it's completely different perspective. I mean,
Mhm,
I for a while I just did not understand where they're coming from and um how they were so pissed off about stuff because you know like I didn't even know about the relocation camps because in
mhm,
Hawaii, well, there was one, but you know that was like just not part of my upbringing. Or George Takei
right,
was, you know, committed to one, and I never had that experience. So
right.
yeah, all righty.
So mainland
So
America.
I guess, yeah, loved on Big Island,
I think
loved
she
on Big,
means lived on Big Island.
lived on Big Island. Oh, okay. Talk about your love life.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
TMI there.
So so anyway, regardless of what your current perspectives are, this is a great podcast to listen to with Dr. Jackie Lewis, to kind of open your eyes to maybe things that you haven't thought about before as far as the Black American perspective in the United States, I think. What do you think?
I
Yeah.
don't know. I think it's one of the most powerful episodes we've had.
Hmm.
Really.
And next
So
week we have Dory Clark. We have December. We have lots of really powerful women on the podcast, so that'll be awesome.
I think we only have women in December
We only have
because
women in December.
seriously, we have Dory, we
Yep.
have Maxine Bedard,
Yep.
who is going to tell you why you should buy fewer jeans,
I
and
loved
then
her
we
book
have,
so much.
yeah,
Was her
and then
interview good?
Scary.
Was it good? I'm sorry, who was
Oh
the
my
last
God,
person?
it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sneeze. 1 second. I'm going to
Okay.
mute while I sneeze.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, Maxine Bada wrote a book called Unraveled, which is about the life cycle of jeans, and how cotton and denim is produced. So it's going to be really. I haven't heard the interview yet, but I did read her book and I loved it. So,
Well, we go into nudism quite a bit. because
so
because I think her book is a good argument for why you should wear less clothes. So anyway, and
that
then
that
we
could be a
have,
Hawaiian perspective too.
oh yeah, yeah. And then we also have Nicole. I don't know how you pronounce her
Paymal,
name yet.
Paymal.
No, uh, I don't know. I know I haven't recorded, but I haven't listened to that
Okay.
tape yet. Um, but she is one of the few women opera directors. So we're talking about opera, women in opera, what it's like to be a musician and an opera director, and like we went
We
down the
skipped
music.
one.
Oh,
We
who?
after Maxine, we have Catherine Price.
Oh, right, the happiness.
Yes. Yep, that had fun. Yep, she wrote a book on like how to break up with your cell phone. But the one that we're talking about is The Power of Fun, How to Feel Alive Again.
I haven't
And then
interviewed her
Nicole
yet.
Paymal.
Yeah.
Nicole Paymal after that. So a very
When
full month.
when do we have a man again?
Not till January, unless you count you. You're there every week. Dave
Wait,
Evans in
who's?
January.
Oh, so Dave Evans is interesting. I recorded already because he talks about entrepreneurship and tech entrepreneurship, and he was in the Lisa division of Apple. And
Mm.
then he now teaches what may be the most popular course at Stanford, which is how
Hmm.
to design your life.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. That'll be great.
So,
So lots of great reasons to make sure you're subscribed to the podcast.
okay. And
Okay.
I have two equipment things I'm going to try. Okay.
Okay.
So, and I don't have them yet. So one is an XLR kill switch.
Huh.
Now, you might ask, why would you want an XLR kill switch? And the reason why I want an XLR kill switch is because when I record an interview, typically Squadcast is recording both of us. And so there are many times where I might laugh over somebody, or I might, or I don't know what, I'll sneeze or something, right? So it would be just nice to be able to press a button to kill my side so that when we edit, I don't have to silence my side for the laugh or the hiccup or the whatever. Now, I use a Rodecaster Pro, so I could reach over and press this one button, but I'm always afraid I want to press the wrong button. So I ordered an XLR kill switch just for that
Hmm.
purpose. And then I watched, I don't know who it was. I spend hours every day watching YouTube for how YouTube, how YouTube creators optimize their studio. And
Hmm.
so I saw this one where what he did is very clever. So he got a teleprompter, and what he did is he used a monitor, but I figured out how you can do it with an iPad because an iPad can now be your second screen.
Hmm.
And so I am going to put an iPad in the teleprompter and then drag the window of, for example, this conversation into the teleprompter. So right now I have a computer screen and I have a camera. So I have to discipline myself to look at the camera. But in the next, probably by next Wednesday, I will be looking into the camera because this side by side window we're in will be in a teleprompter window in front of the camera, if you can
Got it.
follow all that. So it's
Yes.
much easier to maintain eye contact. Now, we have been trying this uh, plexi plexicam,
Lexicam.
right?
Hmm.
Right. But so that what that does is it hangs the camera down in front of the window. But the camera is definitely blocking the window. You can't see what's behind the camera. But with this teleprompter using the iPad for the second window, dragging the window into the teleprompter screen on the iPad, seriously, you truly are going to be staring right into the camera, and people are going to think I'm so engaged. So that's the plan.
Awesome. I just have to get my mic set up properly that you sent me.
Oh yeah. Peg is going
Steph and I,
XLR, man. The world, the earth is shaking. Peg is going from USB mic to XLR.
I'll be
Peg is
singing
joined.
no soon. It's supposed to
You.
be great for vocal quality.
I-
For my record, I'm gonna write. Me and Taylor have
yeah.
been busy.
All right.
Just
Well,
kidding.
just
I have
remember,
no ability to write music.
you got your start on Remarkable People. Just remember that when you're at
It's
the
true,
Emmys.
but I'm only kidding. I have zero ability to write music,
Oh,
sadly.
everybody has the ability to write music.
You think
Just
so?
some people are better. Wow.
I think that's a
Listen,
hard skill.
I'm a Carol Dweck, growth mindset kind of guy. I mean, yeah, I took up surfing at 60. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
so okay,
Well,
so
maybe
I think
maybe I
we've
could write the
rambled
lyrics.
on.
It's possible I could write half of a song, the lyric part.
Yeah, just think of it as a tweet. So
Right, but longer. What's the
yeah,
hook?
yeah. Okay, well, bye
Okay,
everybody. Remember, remarkable people and the remarkable people community, and we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.
bye.